Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we come out of executive session.
All right, properly moved
Second.
and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are now out of executive session. Madam Clerk, if you call us back in.
Councilmember Jimmy Clanton.
Here.
Councilmember Rob Turner.
Here.
Councilmember Jasmine Cobble. Councilmember George Turner.
Here.
Mayor Jason Larry.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Folks, we have a special guest this evening. For our invocation, we're going to have Pastor C.L. May from More Than Conquerors Church, a place of praise. Pastor May? Sir. We all stand, please.
Let us pray. Our Father, who is giver, creator, sustainer of life, solicit your blessings on the individuals who have been called to lead the community in which we live, we work, and enjoy. Help us to know that as leaders, to ask the right questions, to be patient and to listen, to learn, and therefore make changes that benefit those in whom we've been called to serve. So Lord, remind us each and every day, regardless to the noisiness that is around us, that we've been set aside to serve our community. We ask that you'll bless the community, regardless to relationship, race, or religion. We all are community, and we are together. So we ask that you will bless our children, our youth, the elderly, the poor, the hungry, those who are homeless. Pray that you'll bless body, mind, and spirit. We ask that you'll grant us the wisdom and the courage to know and to do what is right, what is good, what is true. May we speak out when it's time to speak out, listen and learn perceptively what it is we are to do and which direction we are to go to make a difference. May we always be guided by the one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This we pray in the name of the good, matchless, majestic name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thanks all. You may be seated. All right, Council, I have an opportunity here to look over our agenda for an approval. Any changes or additions? Seeing none, I'll take a motion for the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda for the City Council meeting October 14, 2019. Second.
All right, properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Agenda's approved. Gentlemen, we've had an opportunity to receive our minutes for September 23rd and for October 3rd. Give you a moment to just to review both of those, and then when we're ready, we'll take individual moments of approval from there. Okay, if I have no changes for September 23rd, I'll take it first.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
move for approval of the minutes from September 23rd, 2019.
Properly moved.
Second.
And second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, approval of October 3rd.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
move for approval of the minutes from October 3rd, 2019.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? October 3rd minutes approved also. Thank you, gentlemen. Madam Clerk, we'll move to public comments.
I have no public comments.
Good gracious alive. Let me hurry up and go. Wait a minute.
There are no cards in the back. You have one? Okay. Comment.
All right, going to move to our public hearing. Mr. Chris, are you, there he is. My. Okay.
Good evening, City Council. This case before you today is SLUP 19-003. This application was originally supposed to be heard at the September 23rd City Council meeting, but it was deferred due to unfortunate error between the applicant and the city staff. So it was deferred back to the deferred today to the October 14th City Council meeting. The applicant is Ms. Lisa Foster. The applicant is requesting a special land use permit to operate a personal care home up to 3 individuals. The subject property is located at 6764 Hill Creek Cove, and the acreage for the subject property is 0.38. Currently, the subject property is located in the Rogers Crossing subdivision. It's a planned community development developed in 2009. The current zoning classification for the subject property is R100, and the surrounding uses are residential uses, and the zoning classification for the surrounding uses are R100 as well. This is the land survey of the applicant submitted to staff to show that the site does meet the supplemental regulations to operate a personal care home. Also, I want to mention that the applicant did have a neighborhood meeting on July 1st. Some of the concerns from the residents were safety, the amount of traffic that the proposed use would generate, and the type of resident would live at the subject property. These are the front elevations of the subject property for you to see that the proposed use for the subject property is a single-family home. This is just a side elevation. Again, the next few slides will be elevations just to show that the subject property is a single-family detached home. Next is the standard of review. There are 27 standards review criteria which you'll be using to make your determination. Since there's so many, staff will not go through all of them. Staff did review, and staff did believe that the proposed use was consistent with the surrounding community, and it met all the standard criteria for review. So therefore, staff would recommend approval with conditions of the subject of the application. Also, the Planning Commission recommended approval as well with 7 conditions. The conditions are limit the use of the personal care home to 3 people, three people and no more, and only up to 55 and up. So the applicant has intended to take care of senior individuals. So staff is recommending that you limit it to 55 and up. Access should be limited to existing curb cut off Hill Creek Cove. Hill Creek Cove Drive. All refuse containers shall be screened from public view except during pickup. No identification sign shall be no identification sign for personal care home shall be posted on the property. Owner/operator must live at the property according to supplemental regulations cited in Stonecrest zoning ordinance, section 4.2.31 and 4.2.41. 31 and 41. The applicant says shall secure the necessary certifications by the state of Georgia and the necessary business license, building permits, and certification of occupancy for 3 people from the city of Stonecrest. And the special land use permit shall be issued to Lisa Foster, the operator, for the operation of the personal care home and shall not be transferable. The applicant is here. Do you have any questions of staff?
If I heard you correct, Mr. Wheeler, I want to make sure that, because we've heard a number of these, and I want to be clear. So this time, the owner has to live
Yes, sir.
in the property.
Yes, sir. I passed out to you earlier today the new supplemental regulations that the city passed last year, requiring that if you are an applicant, you have to live at the subject property. You cannot rent it out to anybody or anything like that. As say for myself, if I decide to operate the personal care home, I cannot go hire an individual to run it for me. I have to actually be there on premises to operate the building. Operate the business.
Sure. And mandatory age for 55 and above.
Yes, sir. That's what staff is requesting, to limit it to, again, to senior living, the individuals for senior living. Same thing was to make sure that the applicant does take care of just senior living individuals instead of somebody else, just to hold them to that. Because again, the concern from the residents were the type of individuals who will be living there. So she again stated that she's going to take care of senior citizens. So therefore, we want to make sure that only senior citizens are taken care of and not turned into something else.
And 3 maximum.
Yes, sir. 3. That's what staff is recommending, what the Planning Commission recommended as well.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
A question in reference to the letter that Ms. Foster submitted. She stated that Ms. Belinda Brunson will be living in the home. Is she a co-owner of the home?
She was supposed to be a part of the application, but Ms. Brunson is no longer a part of the application. So Ms. Brunson is not operating the business.
So is she being replaced or?
No, ma'am. No, sir. She's not being replaced. It's just going to be Ms. Foster from now on. Oh, also, I mentioned as well, I gave you a packet, there was a question of how many personal care homes are located in the city. As well, I passed out the map. I worked with the GIS department and I pulled the data from the state's website. So officially, there are, officially licensed personal care homes between 25 and 28 personal care homes. Again, that's licensed personal care homes from the state. We do not know if there are any unlicensed personal care homes. Don't know that figure at all.
Okay. Council?
That's it for staff. Yeah.
Okay, I'll take a motion to open the public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, I'll offer motion to open for public hearing. Slip 19003 for 6764 Hill Creek Cove.
Second.
All right, properly moved in second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Public hearing is now open. Madam Clerk, I will take the first of those that are here to speak in favor of the personal care home.
Make sure you state your name and your address.
Good deal.
Good evening, people of Stonecrest.
How you doing?
My name is Lisa Foster, and I'm here before you requesting a special land user permit to operate a personal care home that requires zoning by the Georgia Community Health as part of their process. I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I have been living in this community for 20 years, and I've been working as a registered nurse for over 20 years, especially with seniors. And I've seen that there is a need for personal care homes in the community, and I've been thinking about opening up one, for the past few years, and the opportunity presented itself December, and I jumped at it. So I've been living here just with my daughters, which are here tonight with me, Chanel and Chantel, for over 20 years. So we just been part of this community for a very long time. And what I'm proposing is to have 3 residents at the community, and that doesn't require any kind of medical care. So allowing them to still have a nice, secure, and home instead of being institutionalized where there is hundreds of other residents. So still giving them a community feeling just to live at home. And I'm prepared to provide them with 24 hours, 7-day assistance with their daily living, their meals, doctor's appointments, transportation, and everything that comes with the personal care home. So just in conclusion, that's basically what we're trying to do, just to get it started.
Ms. Foster, because I don't know you, if you don't mind, tell me your background.
I'm, as far as I said, living here and then being a registered nurse for the past over 20 years.
That's right.
And 2 daughters. We have been here forever. And Stevenson High School, both of them graduated top of their class. So yes, just being in this community and seeing it change and grow and just doing great things.
All right. How much time?
7 minutes and 58 seconds.
All right. Then what we're going to do from here, Ms. Foster, we'll continue to call those that want to speak in favor. And if it stops there, we'll call for those that oppose. And then with your time left, we can bring you back up. All right. Any further for speaking in favor? All right. We're going to allow Ms. Foster to hold on time, unless one of the others are coming in favor. All right. No worries. No worries. We'll make it easy. All right. Now we'll call for those that are speaking for or speaking against or opposed. Going once. Okay. You can close it. All right. So, Mr. Wheeler.
Yes, sir.
I'll entertain any other questions from council unless you want to bring the applicant back up. I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
Mayor, I'll offer the motion to close the public hearing for 19003.
Okay, properly moved. There's second.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I have some questions
All right. Let's,
for Mr. Wheeler, starting with.
Okay.
You said that the applicant had met the requirements as outlined, but there was one that you mentioned about the applicant being required to live on premises,
Yes, sir.
and there's indication that the applicant does not live on the premises as of today.
As far as I know, I believe the applicant does live on the premises, but she's not operating the personal care home. The idea was the applicant was going to move out with the operator being there taking care of it. But since the operator is no longer being a part of the application, she is not going to move out, but she's going to operate the personal care home at that location.
Well, we have a different address for the applicant.
What
Is it-
address is it?
It's a Stone Mountain address. Then we will call the applicant back to clarify this. Foster, what is your current address?
My current address is 987 Brigade Street, Stone Mountain, Georgia, 387. And basically, we are going through the process. We haven't even gotten a license yet to operate. So part of the whole process is the zoning. So and we don't even have a client to begin with yet. So as soon as we get licensed, I'll be moving into the house, operating the business.
So that would become your homestead.
Excuse me?
The address of 6764 Hillcrest
Right,
Cove
6764 Hill Creek Cove.
will become your homestead.
Yes.
And the next question is, do we approve it before that happens, or do we approve it conditionally? I mean, is it being considered? I don't want to say approve. Is it being considered conditionally? Is it being, will it have to wait until that actually happens?
And we won't, again, even though you approved the SLUP, they still have to get a business license with the conditions stated today. So even though they have a SLUP, the SLUP is still required. It's still, the conditions in the SLUP says, even though you approve it, they have a total of 12 months to apply for all necessary applications, permits, and so forth. So if Ms. Foster decides not to move, in a total of 12 months, her SLUP becomes invalid. So there's a timeline for her to proceed as well. This is not a indefinite type of permit. You have to actually move forward with the permitting process if you want to proceed. It's just not that once you approve it, then 2 years later you can come back later. That's not the case. There's a timeline that's set for this to go through.
Okay. And I know initially you were going to rent it to someone else to operate, so you're okay with moving there and being held accountable for being in residence?
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Wheeler, if I'm to understand, as long as the personal care home is operational, Ms. Foster needs to live there. And if she
Yes.
moves out or
If she moves out, then the application, the SLUP permit is done.
so no other person can come in and replace her.
No, sir, no. Another person cannot replace her because, again, the application is made in Ms. Foster's name. So therefore, Ms. Foster has to operate the personal care home. So if she decides to do anything else besides not operate the personal care home, the permit is invalidated.
Okay, we're actually in the discussion phase of a motion to be able to come out of the public hearing. So any further questions from there? Seeing none, all in favor? They come out of,
Oh,
yeah,
come out.
they come out of the public hearing.
Well,
You were
we
doing this
was
during the
already out of the
discussion
public
phase.
hearing.
No, we weren't. We were still doing it during the discussion phase. So now you have to vote to come out of. There you go.
Oh, okay.
And
Motion, well, I thought I made the motion, but I could have sworn I made the motion.
But we didn't
Yeah.
vote.
it was a motion.
All right, so
There you go. There you
in
go.
favor.
All right. All
Aye.
in favor? Aye. All
All right.
opposed? Now we are out of public hearing.
So where we at now?
We're still in discussion. I mean,
So we can, okay, sure.
We still can discuss. There you go.
So if you don't mind, I would like to add, just say one thing. Seeing that we don't have, when we look at the map that was provided to us by our staff, I noticed that there are only, surprisingly, 4 personal care homes on that side of I-20. So there's not a proliferation of personal care homes. My only concern at this point in time is if the applicant is able to actually maintain residence at that home. And I guess my biggest concern from that would be if there is a provision where the city would actually know if that is the case or not at some point in time when the applicant, if the applicant decided to move on, how would we know that? Is there a provision for that?
Since she has a business license, she has to renew her business license. So therefore, we'll send out a yearly update that says renew a business license. Right now, staff is tracking personal care homes in the city right now. So therefore, I keep a spreadsheet of business licenses that are renewed. So therefore, we track and see exactly how many are operating. Staff has realized that the personal care homes are kind of fluid, with some not stop operating and some operating as well. So therefore, staff thought it would behoove the city to try to keep update with all the personal care homes in the city.
And one more important thing, I guess, for the applicant is that, are you okay with all 7 of the conditions that the Planning Commission? Okay, thank you.
Also, I wanted to know the map that I gave you. It will be available to the public. It's just not available right now. But again, the information that got it from was available to public information. So we're not doing anything untoward or anything like that. But again, it is public information that we'll make available to the public.
Thank you, sir.
May I just to add, is that a personal care home is a home-based business, like we all have, not all of us, but a lot of us have home-based businesses. But when you have a business that you don't live in, you are conducting a commercial enterprise. And that was one of the reasons we decided to make it a requirement for the personal care home to be a place that you live. Otherwise, you could rent out 4 or 5 homes and have a personal care home and several different locations, and you are running an enterprise. And that's what we are trying to avoid. So as long as the applicant lives there and operates it, it's the same as you having a tax accounting operation at your house, you have a greeting card shop in your basement or whatever. That's in your personal house. You personally manage it and are responsible for it, and you don't run an enterprise, a commercial enterprise in the city of Stonecrest. So good luck to you if you're going to stay there.
All right. I'll yield to the councilman of the district, which is District 1. What's your pleasure, Councilman?
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to recommend approval with the conditions attached.
All right.
For, to be official, for SLUP 19003, 6764 Hill Creek Cove.
Second.
All right. Properly moved in second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. Congratulations, Ms. Foster. Thank you. I know you'll do what you say you'll do. All right. All right. Council will move to new business. The final plat, Parks of Stonecrest, Part D, Phase 1.
Yes, Council. The final plat is just a procedural step for when any subdivision that's being developed into the city. They're supposed to get approval from the city council as far as maintaining all zoning requirements. Staff has reviewed and made and it noted that the applicant has made all necessary changes and the comments and have been addressed as well. The only thing is needed for final approval is city council's blessing, and then just a few additional language once the approval has gone through.
All right. I'm going to yield to Councilman that's in this area, District 1, Councilman Clinton.
Okay, so a couple of things. First of all, Mr. Willer, I think unless this was changed recently, I noticed that one of the things stated in this final plat literature or language was that there was a supposed meeting and work session or discussion and work session.
Well, it was supposed to happen
October the 14th, which
yes,
is
sir.
today.
It was supposed to be today's work session, but due to the executive session, didn't get a chance to mention it beforehand.
So, you know, what I would like to do at this point in time is ask for, well, I guess we're not at that stage yet. As far as,
We have discussion first, then you can make a representation.
okay, right. So that was my question. That was it.
Oh, yes, sir. I mean, like I said, again, normally I would like to have it before on the work session so you guys can know before ahead of time, but due to the executive session taking so long, so you.
Yeah, and I'm going to do the Colombo thing. One more question. In regards to the work session, to even look at it differently, is there a provision for this type of? I know that typically it's just something we move along, but is it within our purview to have this type of step to add an additional step where we can require that this type of I don't know what you want to call it. It's not really a SLUP, but a plat approval to go through planning commission as well, or is that not a necessary step?
It's not a necessary step, sir. According to our zoning ordinance, it doesn't have to go through planning commission. It is all required to go through city council because again, it's already been platted, and more than anything, it's just a procedural step we have to do that's in our zoning ordinance. The planning commission wouldn't really have any basis and making a determination. Because again, really, they're just recommending, they would be recommending approval. All the work is done through administratively, through staff, through engineering, comments, and so forth. If anything, the work session would probably be the time to kind of look through it, and if any questions or comments.
Well, that's what we need, yeah.
Yes, sir. I mean,
That's what I'm gonna need.
if that's what you need, sir, then we can always put it back on the work session calendar again to have you guys a full chance to look at it instead of popping up on you this evening.
Mayor, can I just make a quick comment about, just not about this specific subdivision, but just in general, and Chris, you straighten me out if I say something wrong. In essence, when a subdivision, this is the final plat of the subdivision, and we as a city, more specifically you as a mayor and council, have adopted subdivision regulations, and when it's time to record the final plat of a subdivision, if it's met all those regulations, which, Mr. Wheeler's telling you it has, then it's really just a formality that it gets approved by the city before it gets recorded at the courthouse. So in essence, what I'm saying to you, which I talked to Mr. Wheeler about this, every time it's time to approve a final subdivision plat, and it's presented to a city council, well, it's almost like, you really hadn't got any choice but to approve it. Because it meets your subdivision regulations, and I guess it went through a rezone process, and then it went through the development process, and that's all of that's said and done, and it really nothing that can be changed.
Yeah, I appreciate your input, Mr. City Manager. However, I'm going to request that we actually go back and look at this because it did not come to work session.
All right. Having said that, I support the council person that's controlling that district and represent that district. And in addition to that, and in being in compliance and careful with what we do here, there's some things that I need to see also from this builder with regards to what we've talked about in public meetings and libraries and things that need to happen in compliance with this particular builder. Because we have given the citizens of Stonecrest, and particularly everyone, but in particularly this subdivision, and along with the terraces of Stonecrest, if I called it correctly, that we would be keeping our word on some things that we mentioned that's going to happen or not. And I'll leave it at that. So having said that, Councilman, what's your pleasure?
Public hearing. Do we have to have a public hearing for this? Well, I didn't think we need a public hearing.
No, sir, we'll just put it on the next agenda, the next meeting for work session, and then for action at the regular meeting.
But it's not listed here for public hearing?
Right. Well, it's listed as new.
It's listed as new business.
It's not required to have a public hearing.
All right.
No, there's no public hearing for this because again, the application is not rezoning anything or anything like that.
We just vote.
Excellent. All right.
So,
September 4th, Planning Commission, public hearing. That was when it was before on the. Right here. Okay. All right. I stand corrected.
okay, no problem.
No worries. All right, having said that, we keep the rules very simple for everyone, so that the constituents in the audience knows if the territory or the actual subdivision or the business is in a given territory or a specific district, the chair yields to that individual with regards to that and then take motion from there. So with that in mind, the chair yields to Councilman Jimmy Clanton because this is District 1.
Mr. Mayor, I offer a motion that we defer to the next work session. New business item A, final plat, Parks of Stonecrest Part D, Phase 1.
All right, properly
Second.
moved. And second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So deferred. Thank you, Councilman. We'll move to old business, capital asset policy.
Thank you, Mayor. You have the policy in the packet, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to ask them. But just as a rehash, it was noted by our auditors that we didn't have a capital asset policy, which basically just defines how you're going to capitalize assets and what the criteria is. So I developed this policy based on some comparables that were out there. And our internal auditor, Mr. Thibodeau, he's reviewed it, and he's made one recommended change to to the policy, which is on the very last page under disposal of assets. And he'll correct me if I get it wrong, but the very last sentence talks about how long you're going to keep information, and we say in accordance with GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting principles, and that needs to be changed to the Georgia Archives Division of Georgia Secretary of State. So we're going to make that one change based on his recommendation, and with that, we would ask you to adopt this policy.
And that was on the disposal of assets, accordance with GAAP, but then we're calling it, what, say that last part again?
It's going to be in accordance with the Georgia Secretary of State's Office on Division of Archives.
Got it. Counsel, any questions?
I had just a couple.
Yes, sir.
So the asset is tangible or intangible and ready for its intended use. Can you give us examples of the intangible assets?
Give you an intangible asset? That's a good question, Mr. George. I'm sort of I'm trying to think now what would be an intangible asset for the city. And I'm coming up empty.
Mr. City Auditor, looks like he has an answer.
For example, there's some work and some discussion going on about developing an internal information system that is linked by, a particular program. Okay, if that is internally developed by the city and city staff, that it is a free working program that is only in the service of the city can capitalize that as an asset. So it is intangible. You can't touch it, can't feel it, but it is in service of the city for the benefit of the citizens. And so it has a value that
Wow.
would be assigned to it, and it would be amortized over time.
Who assigns that value?
The value would be assigned by the number of man hours that went into it. There would be an equation to calculate that value based on the man hours, or free market value. Does it compare to other systems already in existence? But it normally is capitalized at cost plus a estimate of the benefit.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. City Auditor? Would a design of a building would be such? Would that be an intangible? Maybe tangible since they actually deliver a piece of paper.
That would be a design of a building.
Yeah.
Is part of a development. So
Okay.
the cost of the design could possibly go into the cost of the building,
Right.
and that's a capital asset, but
Got
it
it.
wouldn't stand alone.
Makes sense. Thank you, sir.
There
Counsel?
was another question I had about the equipment, and you said the general policy is that it had to be valued over $5,000. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, how about multiple equipments of the same description? Do you do them individually, or you do it as a package?
Well, give me an example of what you'd be talking about. I mean, in essence, if you buy something and it costs more than $5,000, you capitalize it and you treat it as an asset.
If you buy a fancy computer for $4,000, that's not capitalized.
Right.
But if you buy two at the same purchase,
No,
That's
you,
$8,000.
no, 'cause
Now, would it be
that's-
capitalized?
No, sir, they wouldn't.
okay.
They wouldn't.
So multiple purchases will not be capitalized if they're the same item with separate
Well, I
costs.
mean, if we buy 1,000 of these chairs,
Yeah.
at $100 a piece, we're not gonna capitalize them, because we capitalize them, then we got to keep up with where every one of them goes and everything such as that. So we'll just expense it
And
as opposed to capitalizing it and then expensing it over time. You're either expensing it all immediately, or you capitalize it and then you amortize it and expense it little and little over time.
Now, legally, and this is just a matter of practice. Legally, if you did decide you wanted to capitalize smaller assets, you can pool them. You can buy them in a pool and depreciate the pool of assets.
Mm.
And so that's a possibility, but that's a decision that you would make on a case-by-case basis. So it does allow for pooling of assets that you can depreciate or amortize as a pool. Let's say you bought 10 $500 laptop computers. You could depreciate those as a pool of assets and not each individual computer.
Okay. All right, I had a note here about Browns Mill Rec, and I forgot what it was about. Okay, I'll let it go. But I know who to talk to.
Oh, exactly.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, Mr. City Manager, what's your pleasure?
I'm asking you guys to adopt this policy so we can mark this off the list of things the auditor's asking us to do.
All right, that's reasonable.
I hate to be just so technical. You put a note here on recommendation approved at the next city council meeting. Is this considered the next from the time you wrote this, or is it it's the one?
First time was.
So this is a repeat. Okay, I'm first reading. Okay.
All right. Then, gentlemen, I'm going to make a motion to approve the capital asset policy as read for the changes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Capital asset policy approved. Thank you, Mr. City Manager. All right. Mr. City Manager, comes back to you.
I don't have anything, Mayor.
All right. Mr. City Attorney?
Nothing.
All right. All right. I'm trying to figure out which Turner to call on first. Yeah, right. So we'll go with
Saturday-
Rob Turner.
On Saturday, October 19th, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., the Entertainment Expo for DeKalb County 3rd Annual Expo will be held at North DeKalb Mall. It's a wonderful event. This event is an interactive, up-close and personal entertainment expo highlighting the abundant resources and information available within DeKalb County and the state of Georgia for DeKalb County companies, organizations, professionals, and residents in search of establishing a presence in the film, television, music, and digital entertainment industry. And the Stonecrest Film and Entertainment Committee will have their own built-on part there. So we're going to be a part of this. It's very exciting. It gives us visibility. It gives us some position in the city as a Stonecrest film entity. So if you can come out anytime from 9 to 5 at the North DeKalb Mall, come out and see some panel discussions, master classes, movie screenings, networking, all kind of wonderful things in the film and entertainment industry. Thank you.
Excellent, sir. Excellent. Mr. Clanton.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to say we had a lot. I had a ball, literally a ball, at the
Yeah.
at Browns Mill. So I'm able to sit down easily, but getting up is a little hard to do after running up and down the basketball court. But it was a lot of fun, and I was very proud of the city of Stonecrest with our seal in the middle of that floor. It just really made me feel great and proud of our great city. And then to move from there to over at the mall area, which is in District 1, and to enjoy some ice cream for all the work that I've done at the Browns Mill basketball court, and to see two young ladies, two of our own, go into business and open up Double Scoop, really good ice cream. As some staff members know, it's not a bribe, but I'm taking some of the staff out here this week to make certain that they get a couple of servings of the 2 Scoop. But that's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Excellent. Councilman.
Yes, sir. Let me just also echo that this Saturday morning we had a 5K walk run to outrun cancer. Had a beautiful turnout. Weather was great, and it was for a worthy cause. And will be repeated again next year. So I'll let you know now. In addition to that, tomorrow evening, 6 p.m., right here at City Hall, we will be having a meeting for the 2020 Census Complete Count. Now, it's important that we make it clear that this is for the complete count. The Census Bureau conducts surveys all throughout the years, but on each 0 year, they conduct a complete count. Some of you may have seen some surveys going around or some paperwork going around about the census already. That is not for the complete count. The complete count doesn't actually happen until the middle of March of next year. So why do we have all these committees being put together now? I know we talked about knocking on doors for the census, but the committees we're putting together would not be door knockers. The only people who can knock on doors are certified census, federal census employees. The committees we're putting together now is a publicity committee. We are to encourage each and every soul in this country to participate in the complete census count. So in order to get that done, we've targeted certain demographics. We want to make sure we reach the clergies, reach the school system, reach the governmental official, reach public safety, wherever we can think of that we may have been undercounted in the last census, and we need to make sure that we target them. But our effort is to count everybody in the city of Stonecrest, everybody in this county of DeKalb, and everybody in the state of Georgia. Why is it so important? There are about 50 reasons, and I'll read them to you now. Now, I will pass them out. I will send them to you, but you'd be surprised as to the amount of money we left on the table last time. I think we threw out that figure last time. The number is $2,341 per citizen undercounted. And DeKalb County undercounted by about 26% last time. So they left close to $1 billion on the table. And that can happen again this time around if we don't encourage everybody to get out and, well, you don't have to get out. You can do it from the comfort of your home. It's done one of three ways: on the internet, by telephone, or you can do it by mail with the application when it comes to you in the middle of March. It actually starts on April 1, but if you get your application before then, it's okay to call in, phone in, or send it in. And for those who do not, that is when a federal certified, identified census counter will knock on your door. So if you don't want someone knocking on your door, get it done early, and convince all of your friends, neighbors, in every corner you can find them, participate 100%. Okay? And tomorrow, just come out, join us, do what you can to help us get the word out. We are going to become advocates for complete count census for Stonecrest, DeKalb, Georgia.
All right. After that, I'm afraid not to get counted. So we'll make sure we come and help for sure, Mr. Jones. All right. Good stuff. I'm so pleased today, folks. I saw a lot of good stuff. First of all, this is the third meeting in a row that we actually finished under an hour. So it's not a fluke. It can be done. Good stuff. Good stuff. But I want to share a couple of three things with you all. One is that I saw a test today. I just wanted to see how this went about today, and that was the actual personal care home. And what I mean by that is that I thought it is it's important and a very good gesture that we take care of, well, I'm going to say our seniors because I'm older than 55, and you don't know when your sick day is. And if you have an opportunity, you have a person that wants to actually put a personal care home in their business, in their home, that lives there and takes care of it, and to take care of those reasonable people with just 3 folks in an area, I think that's a good thing. That shows the caring of the city, and I was very pleased about how that went. I'll be brief. A couple of 3 things. One is that this is the first time in a year that I've been able to put on regular shoes and have where cancer levels are not detected. So I'm really happy at this point. I was afraid that Dr. Hall's husband was going to take my cane anyway, so I just left it at home this time because he gets me every time that I come out. Second thing is that if you go to, everybody knows where Farrington Parkway is off of Panola Road, right? You know where the actual Walmart is off of Farrington? If you pass by there now, we fixed that fence today. and that fence has been broken down for more than a year and a half. And our deputy city manager cleared it through GDOT, and we repaired it ourselves because it was just a absolute danger spot for people to cross over in the grass. Trash was collecting there, blowing off on the interstate. And on top of that, it just looked absolutely ridiculous. Cannot draw commerce, cannot draw business with your fence down and trash in the highway. So, you know, being a part of the city, these are some things that we can handle on our own with our budget. So I'm really, really happy for that, Mr. Deputy City Manager. I appreciate you setting that up for us so that we can make it happen. Another thing, we booked today the youngest business person in the city of Stonecrest, and I think she was 11. 10. She was 10. Came in with her mother, filled out the business license, talked like an adult, walked like an adult, had business like an adult, and I was astonished. And I was just elated as to how a 10-year-old could actually articulate what they were going to do, what they were going to sell, and what products they were going to offer. And she signed her business license, came in with Mom. We signed her license. She filled out the paperwork, and it was just absolutely awesome. So you all will see, you'll see her online with us, you know, very, very soon. As someone mentioned earlier, for Double Scoops, another proud moment this weekend. And we had an opportunity for all of us to go up and eat ice cream, and well, I watched Councilman. I just watched him and Councilwoman Jasmine Coppola. You should have been there. It was a sight at Browns Mill. Also, while we're here, if you all indulge me just for a second, we're still on our hour. I like the candidates for District 5 just to stand up and raise your hand. Stand up and raise your hand. Candidates for District 5. All right, let's give them. There we go. There we go. One of them will find out soon enough. The sausage making that happens in the background once you get to this area here. Last but not least, and I want you all to know that this is, you know, sincerely coming from us. Our primary objective here in Stonecrest is to take care of our citizens, period. Point blank, end of story. And for whatever noise you hear, we want you to come to City Hall and get the real story. So let me embark upon you and share this with you. As the city of Stonecrest, we control our own taxes. We control our own future, as a matter of fact. We control, you know, what we build, what we buy, all of that. So two things very briefly. Today started at the end of the same place down on Farrington Parkway. Our economic development team, Will Settle and Clarence Boone and myself, we went there for the first clearing to be able to start that community center that we're going to build with a police substation, with a STEM program right in the heart, quite frankly, of the most troubled area that we have in Stonecrest. And that's real tangible, that's real dirt being moved, that's real, that's happening on that end of it. And subsequently, so that there won't be a rumor pack that's out there, you'll hear it from mayor and council, we bought the Sears building, period, point blank, end of story. Now, one or two or three things is going to happen on this end of it. We would like DeKalb County to come over with us and put their precinct there at that location where the Sears out parcel was. That's what we would like. Okay. But we're going to have a police department. And I don't care what letter you get in the mail, Stonecrest says we're going to have one. So whether it's 6 months from now with a partnership or whether it's 2 years from now with our own, we're going to protect the citizens here in Stonecrest. Is that a fair statement? There we go. There we go. So we have an IGA with the county. It's a 10-year IGA, intergovernmental agreement. However, we have a 24-month clause that says in 24 months, we can issue you a letter, and then we can have our own force from there. So they've been a very, very good partner with ours for these years to come. And We're going to determine with them exactly how far we're going to continue our partnership. But first and foremost, it's the protection of our citizens of Stonecrest. And with 58-minute call times and 911 being busy, I think we can do better if we either combine or go on our own. Is that a fair statement? Very good. I told you today was a good day. Today was a good day. I'll take a motion for an adjournment.
Mr. Mayor, I'll for a motion to adjourn.
All right. I'll take a second.
Second.
So moved. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? We're now adjourned.